Hey guys, it's Teta time. Yeah. So today we're going to be really tying in that constant proportionality that we talked about before with unit rate. Alright, so let's review a little bit. Remember, constant proportionality is the ratio of y values to x values. Now to find that, we do y divided by x. So remember, it's this constant number that we get when we do y divided by x. Remember, to be proportional, it has to be zero. It has to have a point 0, and then every time I do y divided by x, I should get the same thing. Well, if you remember, a unit rate is a comparison of two things where the bottom number is 1. Well, believe it or not, constant proportionality and unit rate are the same exact thing. They have different names, but they mean the same thing. When we do y divided by x, we get a number, and we can put that number over 1 unit. Same thing as a unit rate. So they are actually the same exact thing. So if it asks for you to find the constant proportionality, you're actually finding the unit rate. And then when a question asks you to find the unit rate, you're actually finding the constant proportionality. So yeah, they have different words and different meanings, but they actually mean the same exact thing. So believe it or not, we can do both. So let's look, for example, we have these two coffee companies. Okay, so we have Granite Bears Coffee and then Brew Coffee. And so they both have different prices. They send out some prices, but you want to know which one has the cheapest coffee here in Mount Airy. Okay, so Granite Bears Coffee has $8.25. It's 3 cups of coffee is at $8.25, and then 5 cups of coffee is $13.75. So let's go there again. 3 cups of coffee is $8.25, and then 5 cups of coffee is $13.75. Brew Coffee has 2 cups of coffee for $5.60, or 6 cups of coffee for $16.80. So it's a little bit different. So that's how they get you in their advertisement. Well, you want to know which one's the cheapest per cup. Remember, unit rate per cup. Cup goes on bottom, and then the price goes on top. So let's do Granite Bears Coffee first. So we're going to put price on top, and then we're going to put the number of cups of coffee on bottom. So remember, it said in our problem that it was $8.25, so that's going to be on top, and then 3 is going to be on bottom, and then we'll have $13.75 over 5. Well, when we do both of those, we find out that at Granite Bears Coffee, it costs $2.75 per cup. That's our constant proportionality, because we did y divided by x. Cost was our y, the number of cups was our x, but that's also our unit rate. They are the same thing. So that is for Granite Bears Coffee. Now let's look at Brew. Brew, it costs $5.60 for 2 cups of coffee, or $16.80 for 6 cups of coffee. So price is going to be on top, number of cups is on bottom, because we're trying to do per cup. Remember, unit rate per blank, that goes on bottom. So when we do the math there, we find out that Brew costs $2.80 per cup. That's our unit rate and our constant proportionality. Same thing. So if we compared the two, we could see that Granite Bears Coffee is cheaper by 5 cents. So let's say, for example, they ask you if you buy 10 cups of coffee at both places, how much money would you save at Granite Bears Coffee? Well, remember, that's 5 cents cheaper. 5 times 10, 50 cents. You would save 50 cents if you went to Granite Bears Coffee over Brew Coffee. Now, I'm a personal favorite for Brew because I know the owner, but actually, I don't own a coffee shop, but that's beside the point. So as you can see, unit rate and constant proportionality is the same thing. So now we're going to look at another example where they have you get a table and graph how they relate to each other. Let's go. Hey, yeah, we're back. Now let's look at this problem, okay? So we have this table down here, and they give us these values. So first we notice that 1x is 5y, and then we keep going, 210, 315, 420, 525, okay? So they give us this table of values, and they say, hey, create a graph for this table. Let's say that x represents how many shirts you buy, and y represents the cost. So if we buy 1 shirt, it costs $5, 2 shirts, $10, and on and so forth, so forth. So let's look at this table. All right, now let's graph this. So we're going to plot a dot or a points for each one of these. So I'm going to go over 1 because my x is 1, and up 5. Then I'm going to go over 2, up 10. And we keep on doing this. Over 3, up 15. Over 4, up 20. over 5 up 25. And what we're going to notice here is that these can form a straight line. Well, that makes sense because the constant proportionality here would be y divided by x. 5 divided by 1 is the same as 25 divided by 5. I get 5 every time. That's my unit rate. Each shirt costs $5. $5 per shirt. So let's slow it down a little bit. All right, so constant proportionality, remember, is your ratio of y to x. So if I did y divided by x every single time, I get 5. Well, that also represents your unit rate because that's the cost of one shirt. If I buy 5 shirts, $5, $5, $5, $5, $5, 5 of them would be $25. And we also notice here that if I connect these dots, it goes through the origin, 0, 0. That also makes sense in this problem because if I don't buy any shirts, I'm not going to pay you anything. So I don't want to. So 0, 0 is a point, and it's a straight line. So this is a proportional. My unit rate or constant proportionality, whatever you want to call it, is $5 per shirt. So that's how you can take a table and turn it into a graph. They may ask you to do that. They may give you a table of values and say which graph represents this. So you just take this table, plot your points. Remember, x goes this way, y's go up and down. So plot your x's on the bottom. So count over how many x's you went. So we went, like for the first one, we went over 1, up 5. For the second, we went over 2 places, up 10. So that's how you plot it and then connect your dots. So that's how you can take constant proportionality and tie it in with unit rates and take a table and put it in a graph. So now we're going to look at another example where they actually are we're going to take a recipe and try to scale it up. But let's go. All right, so let's look at this recipe problem here. Okay, so let's say a recipe calls for 1 1/3 cup of milk for each batch of cupcakes. Okay, so it takes 1 1/3 cups of milk for every single batch. Well, let's say we're having a party and one batch only makes a dozen cupcakes or 12 and we have 48 people coming. Well, that means we need a cupcake per person. That's a good party planner. So that'd be 48 cupcakes. So we need 4 batches. Well, we got this table over here. All right, so they told us how much it is per batch. That's our unit rate. That's our constant proportionality. It's 1 1/3 cups of milk per batch. So we're going to use that unit rate to fill in our table. All right, so one batch is 1 1/3 cups of milk. That's the easy part. 2 batches will be twice that, or 2 2/3. Another batch, so 3 batches, would be 4 cups of milk. And then our 4th batch would be 5 1/3, or 5.33333 repeating. So 4 batches take 5 1/3 cups of milk. So that way we know how much milk we need to buy. So this is how you can use recipes to scale up and help you figure out how much ingredients you're actually going to need. Okay, so you can actually use unit rates and constant proportionality. You can make a table and double it and multiply your constant proportionality by your x to get your y. So that's how we can use unit rates and constant proportionalities together to help us figure out tables. So now you're going to try some on your own. So remember, unit rates and constant proportionalities are really the same thing. A unit rate is a ratio of y to x values. Constant proportionality is just y divided by x. It's the same thing because remember, we can write a ratio as a fraction. So they are the same thing. So don't get confused if the question asks for unit rate or constant proportionality because they go hand in hand. They're the same thing. And it doesn't matter if you have a table or a graph. Remember, a table you can do y divided by x. It gets you your unit rate and constant proportionality. Same thing. And then a graph, you do y divided by x. Pick a point, find your y coordinate and your x coordinate, and divide the two. So this is how you can do constant proportionality to figure out unit rates together. You guys have got this. Tether time out.